here. I had Mayor Taylor, and then we'll have Mayor Blunt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the campaign for this information is very implicit, but my question is the tracks and the freight movement, because right now we already have problems with backup on the railroad tracking, especially in certain residential areas. Now, are we going to see this impact in the immediate, or what they're talking about doing in the immediate or long range, because this could present a potential problem?
So with respect to freight service that's out there today, what we know in working with FDOT on the Coastal Link project is that freight service was at its highest kind of around 2007, 2008, when the economy was in a very robust posture. And so freight trains were numbering maybe 18 to 20 freight trains a day. That seems to be the estimate. That volume of freight service reduced as the economy cooled off after 2008, and so freight service was down maybe 12 to 14 trains a day, and the freight service has increased in the past several years. So now there are, I believe, 14 through trains and 4 local trains, 18 trains per day on the corridor. The post-Panamax impacts from the widening of the Panama Canal are projected to occur certainly after the canal is open, and the state has taken aggressive efforts to enable those ports to be able to receive that freight. So the deepening of the Port of Miami and the improvements to Port Everglades are, Port Miami is underway, Port Everglades is going through the financing process, and those impacts are expected to start to arrive in maybe 2017, 2018.
I guess what I'm asking is because we have an unusual situation in Riviera Beach. We have the switching of on the track. So to me, that could present a substantial problem for the residents of that area. And I don't know if Jose, you have to address that, because to me that is something that we would certainly need to look into, because you already have a backup morning and afternoon and evening, and if we're going to have these other trains coming every hour up until 9 p.m., we'll never cross. Neither will we ever have emergency vehicles who can get across the track. So to me, that's a big issue.
And there are some improvements that are being made that can help remedy some of that impact. For example, as the council may recall, there was a Tiger grant awarded last year for 2 rail interconnections to be constructed. One in Northwood, which is 25th Street in West Palm Beach, and that's a connection between the CSX and FTC, and the other is called the Iris connection, and that's down in Miami at the very southern end. And that rail connection is specifically designed to enable some of that inbound freight to get out of the congested downtowns, like between Miami and West Palm, but it would still come back in West Palm and go through Riviera. Some of that freight could continue north on the CSX, but there's been no commitment, and that's the subject of the freight rationalization study the state is doing now.
Well, I would hope that anyone who looks at that will grab Shippers Lake Park are experienced from that as well. So that is something that those communities really would be affected if you do not take a serious look at that.
And certainly be added to the recommendation.
And it needs to be short, and short run, not long.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess earlier this morning when I was preparing to come here, they had on the news about the bridges and and actually they were saying that what's the solution, maybe moving something to the west. So all of that is just truly not acceptable, so we really need to look in the box, not outside the box this time. But I have 3 things. And Kim presented it, and this was closing off the Ventura, which maybe I misunderstood her. So that's the main corridor for West Palm Beach. We have a lot of businesses in that area, so maybe I misunderstood what she said.
Yeah, we've been working with the city of West Palm Beach. There are 2 specific grade crossings. Your blocks in West Palm Beach are very short. So our trains and our platform are 1,000 feet long. Right? The short train, but it's 2 very narrow blocks. And so those 2 grade crossings have to be removed. But we are building infrastructure and working with the city of West Palm Beach to build infrastructure that goes around the station. So it's not like dead end and people don't go around. There's actually circulation around the station that will happen. And that's an ongoing thing that we have in the city of West Palm Beach. So you have numerous east-west connectors along downtown West Palm, starting with Clematis all the way through down to Fern. So we will have those connectivity, and that's what we're working with the city on to have that. But there's not just no other way to put in a station downtown West Palm Beach. Because the train is about to be on.
So if I'm understanding you, you're not closing off the tour.
We're rerouting the perimeter road in the city's master plan that we're building.
So you're telling me that West Palm has agreed to have those roads closed?
Well, it's those grade crossings are, again, it's a crossing agreement that we have with them. And so we're removing the grade crossing and rerouting the road around.
Could you just, I mean, please, I'm not a trained person. So you're saying that you're going to car not cross there?
Right, we'll have to go around the station.
So you're going to have to go to another road?
So we're referring to the plans.
Okay, so that's an issue that should have been brought to the public.
And it is. We've had open discussions with the city of West Palm Beach.
Business.
And we've met with the downtown development authority, met with businesses in the area, and with city place, and we've
What
worked.
is in place? It's not an issue for that.
Well, there are neighbors, there are exactly neighbors.
You talked about that.
Yes. So we've engaged the local community on that.
I guess you didn't challenge know that because we are down.
We've actually met with the county and the county administrator, the county engineer, we all know about that.
We didn't come to us.
This is the county.
It's a county neighbor. I understand that it's a city road.
Again, I think the communication just, I mean, we've had a very good meeting. There clearly have been little discussions here and there. That's why I think it is important. And that's maybe more common to Kim and Michael, that just more communication and things coming out so that people are a little bit more aware of some of the.
Okay, and I also brought up about the rear switching, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with that. I don't know if you met before, which you probably have, but that switching area is a problem as it exists today.
And the LGOT has and is doing several things that will improve that switching area. Right now, I think there's a hospital nearby that is wide. And so my understanding is a current issue today, right? And so FDOT has met with, it's the freight side of the house, we're already there. I've met with them, and they're coming up with infrastructure changes that would help that. So I forget the name of Blue Heron.
Blue Heron.
So I know that there's a plan to either an overpass or a siding that's going to be done so it doesn't block where the switching happens. So FDOT is working on it right now. I will get to it. It's an FDOT-driven effort. I'm just giving you information. FDOT District 4 is the one that's doing that right now, and you may want to inquire with them. It has nothing to do with the passenger side of the house, but FDOT District 4 has a project for that right now.
So your train is not going to go on that track?
It goes on that track, but we don't block it. It's 1,000 feet long. Crosses the intersection less than 45 seconds.
So you cross the 45 seconds?
Man, we're only 1,000 feet long. We don't block the freight trains that we're talking about, right? Those are the long freight trains, the unit trains. Those will still exist, and that's the thing we're referencing today. All of the Florida trains are smaller, and they cross the intersections much quicker.
Okay, I think Commissioner Guyton and perhaps myself need to ask you to come visit with us.
I'll be happy to come visit with you.
So that we can open it to the community.
We've met before. We'll engage again. We'll have some discussion. So
I want to ask Michael if you would just make a quick comment here too to help with some of these comments.
Mayor Taylor, this is up to you, the mayor, up to the board as well. If you'd like to volunteer Kim, come to Kim.
Okay.
Go ahead and work with your staff to do a briefing in front of the county commission district. Because there's a lot of pieces to it. And the MPO did part of it, and the cities aren't doing it all.